about us, but like I said, I've heard from a few of you ladies. A couple of you are pretty excited that it's been all about the guys, but then again, some of you, the real spiritual ones, have said you've gleaned some things off. It was okay, sort of a drive-by. No, we can. Everyone can learn a lot from a guy named Samson. That's not supposed to do that. Talk amongst yourself.
Well, if you had a real Bible, all you had to do is open it up.
What? That's right. So, y'all know that verse in the Bible that says, we've been talking a lot about animals this morning. So we talked about their instincts this morning in Sunday school. We had a good Sunday school class. If you missed it, you're not very spiritual. No, we did. So we talked about, no, you're not ignored. And in our presence today, and they really want us to acknowledge it, is Jillian and Gracie. So Gracie you've seen on stage, and she made it to church, and that is her claim to fame for the week. Yeah. And she brought Jillian, which is good, because Jillian normally likes to sleep in. Shall I keep going? Do you want to come up front? No, I didn't think so. All right. So you know that verse, as a dog returns to its vomit, so a fool also to his folly. That's just nasty. See, I've been talking about men and their nastiness, but that's a true statement if you think about that. Dogs literally will re-eat. I mean, they're ultimate recyclers. So I had this neighbor one time who had a dog, and he kept pooping in our yard. I was told that if you pour grease on it, the dog will clean up after himself. But then when they take the dog home, needless to say, no more poopy in the yard. Right, so they're just weird animals, right? Just animals in general. They're just kind of weird. They do things, but they do it. We just learned this morning, seriously. They do it instinctually. Your dog is not going, oak tree, willow tree, which one should I pee on? Contemplating. They don't contemplate. They just act. It's instinctual. It's okay. That's how God built them, and Jude told us about it this morning. Instinctual, right? So here's what Samson does. Samson instinctually acts. Like last week we were talking about, so here's how we kind of started this. Samson had, first thing, remember first week, anybody make notes? I know you were here first week, so you got your good notes. So first week, he had 3 attitudes that make strong men weak. That's kind of what we said. First one, you remember what it was? Huh? I know I'm cheating. I'm cheating. I've got them wrote down. Right, lust. There you go, lust. I want it. All right, so that was one of his problems. And men were just like that. Instinctually, women too, I want it, so I'm going to go get it. And want is our main push, our main lead. It's just our want. Now, if you're Christian, you just say, God impressed upon me to want. Lie to yourself all you want. I understand. Normally, it's just you wanting it, so you go get it. And that's what happened with Samson. He looked at a woman, and kind of like David, I want it, so I went and got it. That was a problem for him. Second attitude he had, remember? Entitlement. That was second. Pride's coming. Entitlement. I deserve it. I'm a man. Right? Or I did remember, and he took honey out of a dead lion. He killed the lion, and he saw the honey, and was like, well, I killed the lion. I deserve the honey, and I'm going to take it no matter what, which was bad because you weren't supposed to touch dead things as a person who took a Nazirite vow. So he lusted, and then he was entitled to it, and that attitude carries forward, you and I. I mean, we're like, but I've worked so hard. I need to do this. I want to do that, and I've done so much. I just need some time, right? Whatever. Third, there, say it again. Pride, absolutely. Pride was the third one. And his pride got him in trouble, right? And he kept saying, I can handle it. I'm strong enough. People can't look at me and not think I can. I mean, think about that for just a moment. He was the strongest man on the planet. God-given ability to be the strongest man on the planet. And yet, he couldn't touch alcohol, so he threw a keg party. And then he said, there's no way I can't participate. That would be silly. I would look weak. I can handle it. His pride got the best of him. So you and I are the same way on that. We love to have our pride lead us. If it's not our wanting, it's our pride and our entitlement. So those three attitudes got him in trouble. That was week one. Second week, we talk about a really common problem with a lot of men, is that he was emotionally driven and not spirit-led. This is where we tied it into Sunday school this morning. Emotionally driven is the same thing as your instincts. God gave you emotions, okay, as your body, in your person, as you were growing up. When you were born, you had them, right? Instinctually, you just follow them. When you got mad, you act like an idiot, right? Right? Somebody makes you mad, you go off. That's instinctual. It's just like, snap. How many of y'all would say you're just like that? Right, okay, there you go. No. The rest of you instinctually lie. That's okay, right? I'm not raising my hand in that church, right? So whatever it is, I mean, it's some of you, you hear juicy news. You can't help but go tell somebody, right? It's instinctual. It's like, can you believe what I heard? No, I got to just tell you. I got to tell you. And if you're a Christian, you go, we got to pray for this person. I want to tell you why, right? You just preface it. You can fix it, massage it back in, but whatever it is. You instinctually will lie. You will. If you can keep yourself safe, you can keep yourself, keep your pride needs to be protected, you will lie immediately. You don't have to think about it. Anybody ever told a lie, but first had to stop and go, I think I'll lie here. I could tell the truth, but no. And no, you just immediately, right? Anybody ever done that? I was very transparent with you a few years ago. That was me. I lied more than I told the truth. And to break it, I heard a sermon. And the sermon was, you want to break it? The minute you tell a lie, you suck it up and you go, I was lying. Right then. You know that? That was a lie. And I did that. I physically, that was a lie. That was a lie. And now straighten it out. Finally, and I had to break it. Now it's still there instinctually. If I think you're going to think a certain way, I'm going to lie. If I'm going instinctually. But spirit-led is 100% opposite of that. You're going to be faced with a decision. Your instinct's going to be to lie, and the spirit's going to go, nope, tell the truth. But if I tell the truth, this is going to happen. But if I tell the truth, this is going to happen. But if I tell the truth, this is going to happen. The spirit said, tell the truth. You can now choose. Pick it. Sometimes you don't have that much space and time to figure that out. And if you're going to be constantly emotionally driven, you're not going to be spirit-led. And that was the problem with Samson. He just went out and he let his emotions drive him. His anger, right, that was one of his big emotions. And it just pushed him and pushed him and pushed him. And he acted stupid and he said dumb things. And he broke things and he killed people. And he did all this stuff just because he allowed his emotions to do it. Now, you can be that way. Once again, God forgives me. Yeah. Another thing we learned this morning is you don't lead with grace. You don't live by grace. You live by faith in grace. So when faith is driving you or being spirit-led, you're living that way, and faith and grace catches all the pieces, right? You're not perfect. We know that. You're perfect today, okay? You're in church today, everything's going to be fine, right? But you live in faith, and then you allow grace to kind of to be the catch-all. You don't live in grace. No, God made me that way. It's okay. I can do what I want. You don't think it that way, but you do something stupid, or you look ahead and you're like, I really want to. I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness for that. Have you ever said that? I'm going to have to ask for forgiveness for that. Before you even do it? That's grace. And that's not where it belongs. Grace belongs in the, I shouldn't have done that. Grace picks up. And then you turn around and live back in faith again, learning from where grace just mopped up your mess. You and I don't ever learn from our mess mop-ups. We just say, well, every now and then I screw up. Basically, whenever I want to, I screw up and I allow grace to pick up the pieces. Pre-grace. That's bad. Bad. That's being emotion-driven, not spirit-led. And that's Samson's biggest problem last week. So here's we're going to pick it up. Pick it up in the same verse that we were last week at the end of it. Judges 15, verse 19. And this is where it says, then God opened up the hollow place in Lehi, and water came out of it. It was probably red tide water, but who knew? Who knew? When Samson drank, his what? Strength returned. Okay? Strength returned, and he revived. Okay? So as he turned back to God, so this is some good news, right? Right? This is where grace lives. As he turned back to God, his strength renewed, and he was revived. The Bible says, so the spring was called En-Hakor, and it's still there in Lehi. Now, just because you read it's still there in Lehi doesn't mean it's still there in Lehi today. I heard somebody say that, and it says it's still there in Lehi. At the time when he wrote it, it was still there in Lehi. It's not good Bible teaching when you say, well, it says it's still there. Right? Forgot to go check. Right? Anyway, I digress. Sometimes people slay me, but that's okay. Verse 20. Samson says this. Samson led Israel for 20 years in the days of the Philistines. Right? Sounds cool. And sometimes it's easy just to read right on past that. But you need to understand the impact of what happened there. Samson had done all these things, right? Man of God, given all this power, he's yada, 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 yada. He reaches this point, this apex of screw up, really, and he turns back, it says, to God, and God re-gives him his strength and revives him. Basically, let's see, we talked about a few weeks ago, what is backsliding? If you want a picture of it, I don't believe in it, but this is what it would look like from an Old Testament point of view. He had God just like the children of Israel, and he rolls down the hill, right? He gets to the bottom. I need to be picked up. I've kind of done it on my own. I've done the stupid stuff. I need to be picked back up. He turns to God. Boom. And then it says he had 20 good years. I think that's why it put it in there. For 20 years, my version says he judged Israel. So to be a judge, that's why we're in the book of Judges. Samson was a judge, or what would later become a prophet, which would later become, say it with me, Jesus. Thank you. Samson, at this point, as a judge, Samson is like the typecast of Jesus without the sin, right? So for 20 years, he faithfully led Israel. Did he not sin? No. I think he probably did. But did he turn away? Did he let his emotions drive him? See, it's okay. I'm going to say it's okay. It's one thing to be spirit-led and occasionally have an emotion take you over, and you learn from that and try to make it better. Or it's another thing to be driven by those emotions and occasionally check in with God. Two totally different lifestyles. I believe Samson's being led by the Spirit for 20 years. He's teaching to the people what God tells him to say to the people. And he's living under that. He has all of his strength. He's basking in God. So it's a 20-year period of where it looks. Now, here we go. Watch this, because we're going to watch as a guy who's honoring God for 20 years. Another 20 years. Tragically. Where's my daughter? Is that you? The whole Hakor thing, it's still there. She's back there Googling whether it's still there in Lehi. Anybody else do that and you just didn't want to admit it? Okay, just her. You're alone. Anyway, so we're watching this guy trying. So much God potential. Making bad decisions again, ends up with his eyes gouged out, shackled, right? And stuck in front of his enemies, the Philistines, and in prison. Which raised the question. How can a man with so much strength, so much God-ordained potential, mess up life so badly? Here's the key for today. He didn't ruin his life all at once. He did it one step at a time. One step at a time. He didn't just throw it away. One step at a time. Same way many of you men and women mess up our lives. You ever look back at a time in your life and went, how did I get so far in? How did I get so far away? I would say, one step at a time. Just one little step. That's emotion. That's a life that gets you to make all of your decisions. And just keep taking your steps. That's what happens. I mean, here's the word. Is it verse 20? Right. What's the next verse? Starts with one day. Yeah. One day. One day. First step. Samson went to Gaza. Gaza, not good place. Gaza, you've heard of Gaza, and yet still not a good place. Where he saw a prostitute. Went to Gaza, saw a prostitute. You are seeing a theme here, right? Samson and the women. I told you that week one. The women are gonna be his downfall. You believe that? So it's the women's fault. Yeah, it's always the women's fault. Eve, she took the apple. Eve. You really think it's the women's fault that he went to Gaza? You really think it's the women's fault that he bought the prostitute? It's the prostitute's fault? I mean, if you got a good product, I can't resist. You're captivating. I don't think you're supposed to tie this together like that. It's not the women's fault. You're not allowed to blame anybody else for what you do. No one can make you act like an idiot. You can do bad all by yourself, right? That's Medea 101. You can. You have it within you to do all the bad you need to do to get yourself away from God one step at a time. You don't need anybody else. Quit blaming other people. Quit blaming it on the prostitutes, the women, the technology.
Well, I just can't do it. It's my technology. It's just so available. I got it. No. You're letting yourself be led around by your emotions. You were scared. I got it. All right. One day, he sees this exact same phrase that starts when David is supposed to be off at war as a king. It literally says, one day he was walking around the roof and saw Bathsheba taking a bath. Right? Is it her fault for taking a... She shouldn't have been up on the roof taking a bath anyway. Why not? Good, no suntan lines, right? Whatever. I'm not blaming Bathsheba for that crap. It's David's fault. But it starts with one day, just one day. And just one day, you can start making one bad decision that will lead you down a path, just one, that will lead you down a path that spirals. Now, the bad thing is, you never really know which ones are going to end up that way. And yet you and I gamble every day on an emotion-driven life, on a I want life, on a one-step life. Verse 2, the people of Gaza. Now these are the Philistines. They were told, Samson's here. Samson's here. So they surrounded the place and they lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. They made no move during the night, saying, at dawn, we'll kill him. Now, significance here is, this is like headquarters. This is like leadership square for the Philistines. And Samson rolls up in there, all high and mighty, looking for a prostitute. I think he's got a lot going on. Now, I did look up something, which I think is funny. From where he was to where he went in Gaza was about
25 miles. He went 25 miles to risk 20 years of faithfulness. Now, he didn't Uber. He didn't road trip it. He didn't airplane it. He didn't even camel it. Samson walked it. 26,250 steps. He had 26,250 steps to say, this is not a good idea. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. About a week. Step after step after step toward a place that he shouldn't be going in the first place. He was literally told, this is the second time he's going to pick up a woman in enemy territory. How many of you all, no, let's not ask that. What's the chances of finding a good woman at a strip club? I'm trying to keep it like comparable.
Depends on your definition of good.
That's a valid point, Stephen. It's a valid point. Valid point. I'm going to take that into consideration. We're going to table that for just a minute. Darth. She's yelling Darth. Vader. Little to none. Okay, right? Little. There's all those things in there. And in your mind, you can say, but why not? There are good people everywhere. I mean, all of us have whatever and this and that. I got it. Why couldn't Samson have found a woman? Here's why. God had specifically told him, don't go there, don't mingle in. Now, in the New Testament, the Bible tells you, don't go there, meaning don't bring the world into your home. You don't, as a Christian, you don't bring the world. Why? Well, it's enemy territory. Is it because they're bad? No, literally, God says, I'm going to destroy them. Tell Samson, I'm going to destroy the Philistines. And then he would tell you, you know that person you're bringing home, you're putting your whole life in and all that stuff? I'm going to destroy them. They don't have eternity with me. So don't hitch up your wagon to that horse. And that's why. It's not because they're bad. It's because they're going to be destroyed and there's no future in it. So if God says, don't go look there for your woman, then don't go. Don't use your brain to figure out, well, there's still probably some good people. Listen to what God tells you specifically. Yeah, I bet other people were okay to go to and find a woman and God redeem them and make everything whole in their life because that was his plan. But for this guy, he was told, don't, and he did it anyway. Now, there's a whole lot of common truths that you and I can apply, but let's just worry about yourself for today. Where is God telling you to go and do and be that you're just not doing it? Or where is he telling you to not go, but you still are? And you're using your brain and you're going, it's okay and it'll be fine. Don't. 26,200. Oh, I lied. 56,250. I read my five looks like a 2 if you're not wearing your pouring glasses. Better. There you go. That's it. See, you and I don't plan to mess up our lives. It's not like you wake up one day and you go, you know what? Today, I throw it all away. Today, I have decided, let's just throw the family out the window. I think it'll be fine. No. You don't wake up and go, you know what? Alcoholism, I've been thinking about it. Yeah, we're going to do that. Yep. I've made my decision.
Nobody. It's not like anything. You don't just decide one day, that's what I've chosen to ruin my life with. You don't. You start taking gradual steps. You start moving towards, and this is where, hold on, this is where churches have been able to control you for so long. Don't dance, because if you dance with somebody, you're going to end up having sex with them. It's just not true. I've danced with her. It didn't go there. More times than it did. Okay? So, that's just not true. However, there is a guy who will help you not take the next step, whatever that next step is. And there is a guy who will pull you. Some of you are getting ready to take step number 1. Some of you have taken 41,230. Some of you have taken 56,249, and you're one step away from over the edge. Some of you have taken 56,250, and you're already over the edge, and you don't think you can get back. And you don't know what to do because you're already there. And you start to think it's over. And you start to think there's nothing that can happen. And you start to think that God can't fix you. And you start to think that there's no hope. That's not true. We're going to see where the hope starts to come in. But you got to focus on this path. And yes, there is a guy who can coach you into not taking those steps. You don't need religion for that. I don't need to give you a bunch of rules that says, well, I don't get to ever go dancing. I don't give you a bunch of rules. I should never, ever take a drink. No. I need to tell you there is a guy who will live inside of you, and he will coach every single one of your steps. And he's much better at it than me anyway. So there's where Samson would not ever do it right. He kept wanting to make his own choices. I love my free will, but I love it so much I use it instead of Christ. And that's wrong. And when I literally set out to do that, the Bible calls it evil. I am evil when I choose to do what I want to do instead of what God has told me I should do. Evil. Not, I'm still a Christian. I'm still going to heaven. I get to live in great. No, that's evil. I'm just telling you what it says. You apply it to your own life. Nobody's ever looked out and said, I'm going to ruin my marriage. Watch this. It starts with stupid, flirty, text, whatever. That's where it starts. Those are steps. And then before long, you've spiraled out. And before long, you see 56,250 steps taken. And you don't know what you're supposed to do. So I want to show you Samson's small steps. Maybe you can look at your steps and see sometimes if you can see somebody else doing it, hello, maybe you can learn. What was the commercial? You can learn a lot from a dummy. Right? Never mind. Because technically I'm the dummy. Okay. Number 1, Samson taunted his enemy. He taunted it. He teased with it. He played with it. Now, some of the older preaching styles are too, and there's a verse that says, stay away from every kind of evil. Makes sense to me. But it's still not, I'm going to tell you how to act and be. I'm going to tell you what attitude not to have. Don't taunt the enemy. Here's what he does, verse 3. But Samson lay there. So he's shacking up with this user-friendly girl. And in the middle of the night, until the middle of the night, he waits till darkness. Don't we all? Because nobody can see us if it's dark. Right? Even God's asleep sometimes. Then he got up, took a hold of the doors of the city gate, together with the 2 posts,
and tore them loose, bar and all. That's pretty impressive. So I agree with quite a few people I don't like a lot of stuff where they go and they dig and they try to find the truth of things. And, well, let's see what kind of bars and doors they were. This one I like. Each door weighs, according to just about everybody who's studied and looked them up, and they actually think they found, what they 700 pounds each. There were 2. Now, I'm kind of like that in the gym. If I had gone. But I don't want people to get jealous. 1,400 pounds. I didn't even count the posts and the bars. He lifted them up to his shoulders. But then carried them up a hill. See, I could probably get 1,400 pounds down a hill. I don't think that's a problem. He carried them up a hill in the middle of the night. And then he turned. He looked out towards Hebron. And he throws them. At this point, I got really no use for Samson. I just can't relate anymore. What's he do? All this God-giving. He's using God-giving power. God gave him the power. Don't miss that. To taunt the enemy. He's literally looking out at the Philistines going, you ain't safe. Ain't nobody protecting you. Look what I can do. Look, just look how good I am. Don't be doing that to your enemy. The Bible says that, what is Satan like? We mentioned it last week. It's like a lion, which is a member of the cat family. Satan, lions, and cats. They're all together. Symbolism. It's symbolism in the Bible, okay? It says he's roaring around like a lion. Satan's like a lion. And he wants to what? He wants to mess you up? He wants to derail you? No. It says he wants to devour you. He doesn't want to mess with you. You ever said something like, oh, Satan's just messing with me. He's just seeing if I'll be good. He wants to destroy you. You don't mess with that. You don't tempt that enemy. You don't say, oh, I got the power for this. Don't you worry. I can handle this. I got the Holy Spirit in my life. I'll let him tell me what to do. I can do what I want to do. Tempt it. Go ahead. That fool's just waiting to eat you up. He's just waiting to say, you're so easy. I literally think he looks at us and laughs. Now, for the Philistines, it enraged them. They don't like that. I don't think Satan likes it either, but he also knows just how cheesy we really are. Especially if you're one of those emotional, he knows he's got you. Seeking to devour, to destroy. See, you and I, man, we'll underestimate the enemy. We'll put ourselves in places of temptation just over and over and over. Man, I'm going to stand for purity in my life. You hear about this all the time. Businessmen. I used to be one. Businessman. Literally, I was professional. Let that sink in for just a minute. I'm going to stand for purity. They'll go out of town, and then they'll get together with their buddies or co-workers. They'll go out for drinks. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Pretty soon, it's like 3 a.m. They put themselves in place. Why? I learned real quick. Even if I'm out of town, if I left her at home with the kids, what right do I have to be out yucking it up? My butt ought to be at
home in the motel room at a normal time, on the phone with her. I'll tell you a story. I went to Turkey for business one time and learned how much phone calls cost. I didn't. I spent $5,000 on phone calls back home. You could say I was whooped. I like it. But that's the kind of stuff. All hours, checking in. She would call me. It was like 10 o'clock at night at home. It's 8 o'clock in the morning over there, whatever. She'd be like waking me up and be like talking, and we're just, but that's the kind of stuff. I shouldn't be out. I do my job, and then you should stick your butt in your motel room, eat your dinner, go to bed so that you can get back home to where you're supposed to belong. Not, well, I have to be out of town. You know, everybody else is going out for stuff. I really need to be there. You know, it's going to help advance my career if I rub shoulders a lot. Oh, bull hockey. Don't be stupid. Those are simple things to know. Don't put yourself in those kind of situations. And I'm not going to go through the rest of them. Y'all know the ones that you're supposed to do and to not do. All you got to do is ask. There's a guy living inside of you that'll tell you every single decision you need to make, but you're scared to death to ask it because they're too hard. They're too embarrassing. What businessman in their right mind is going to go, no, I don't think God would want me to go out with y'all. No businessman in his right mind, but a businessman being spirit-led would. See, the right mind is to do what everybody else wants you to do, and the right mind is to just don't worry about the enemy because the enemy, don't tempt the enemy. See, we think we're okay with standing firm. Look at the Bible. 1 Corinthians 10:12 says, so if you think you're standing firm, be careful. Because when you think you're standing firm, you're probably going to fall. You might fall. When you're standing firm is when you're supposed to be careful. Not waiting until you need to be standing firm to start being careful. It's those steps. Don't take them unless He's showing you where to go. Don't take one step at a time away from Him. Just don't do it. Second, He rationalized the same old sin. He taunted the enemy, and then he rationalized the same old sin. You remember when he was going after the Philistine woman in the first week, right? And he said, and you don't go after women who worship false gods, the Bible told him. And here we see him again. Verse 4. Again, here we go. This is another woman. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek. Just in case you're wondering, it's in the Philistine territory. Her name was what? Every time I hear that, I just want to dedicate a love song to someone. Not everybody gets that. Or I sing her name. Anybody ever sung her name? Delilah. It's so fun. Anyway, not so fun when you read the story. If you actually knew who Delilah was, you wouldn't dedicate any love songs to somebody you loved for her. She was bad. Crazy. But here's what he's doing. So he's messing around for the third time, messing around with a Philistine woman. Holy cow. I mean, come on. If you've got a problem, don't keep going back, vomit chasers. Come on. This is where I don't like a lot of things. I don't like everything about AA, but there's a lot of things I like. And one of those is, if you have a problem with alcohol, don't drink it at all. Stay away from it. Don't dabble. Not even a little. This is kind of where they get it. Don't taunt the enemy and quit going back to the same old thing. Dude, I talked to so many people. I put 7 people in long-term programs. all 7, when they come to me, well, I've been to this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. They're like 28 days, 14 days, whatever. They do them, and then they go right back. They go right back. They go right back. Is that the program's fault? Not the program's fault. It's your fault for not dedicating the amount of time you need. You just keep going back. You just keep, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to take a step. Doing okay. Doing okay. Doing okay. No, you're not. And you know you're not. And the Spirit inside of you is going, this is not how we should be doing this. This is not how you beat this. I'm how you beat that. But we keep going back. We keep going back. You ever done that in your life? I mean, you have like the season of your life where you do something, and it spirals out, and you figure it out, right? And then you start climbing back up, and then all of a sudden, you take a step towards it, 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 and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm full blown again. And you're like, what the heck, man? Because we keep going back. Just rationalize that same old sin. And I can handle it now. I'm a lot stronger. I wasn't following Jesus very much back then. Now I know I can beat it. Well, ha. It's not hurting anybody, right? Not really hurting anybody else. Look what happened in verse 5. The rulers of the Philistines went to Delilah. So I can say, oh yeah. And he says, see if you can lure Samson into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him so we may tie him up and subdue him. And so what they did is they bribed her. They gave her a lot of silver, a lot of cash. And she said, okay, I'll get the secret out of him. Now you can read the rest of this, verses 6 through 14. I'm just going to give you the Cliff Notes of it, short version. So she goes to Samson. She says, tell me the secret of your great strength. And he says, well, if you get 7 straps, right? But in your Bible actually says 7 thongs. And whenever I think of thongs, I think of shoes. And I don't want to use that. So I'm going to go with straps. Get 7 straps and tie me up with that. And let's go with straps. You take 7 straps, you tie me up in those, and I'll become as weak as any other man. And so he goes to sleep, and they tie him up with 7 straps. And then she says, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. The Philistines are upon you. He jumps up, breaks through, subdues them. And she goes, come on, Samson, tell me what it really is. He goes, oh, okay. It's new ropes. You got to get new ropes. Can't be used for anything else. Got to be brand new ropes. You tie me up with those, and my strength will leave me, and I'll be as weak as any other man. So he goes to sleep, and she gets some new ropes, ties him up, and then she yells out, Samson, Philistines are upon you, Philistines are upon you. He jumps up, breaks out of the ropes, kills them all. She says, Samson, you lied to me again. Come on, tell me what it really is. Come on, I want to know. He says, okay, it's my hair. Now he's getting close. He says, it's my hair. If you take my hair and you tie it up into braids, and then you weave it into this cloth, and you stick a pin in it, she ain't the brightest bulb in the chandelier, okay? Stick a pin in it, I'll be as weak as any other man, my strength will leave me. He goes to sleep. She braids his hair and weaves it into the thing, sticks a pin in it, and yells out, Samson, Philistines are upon you! He jumps up, breaks out of his little weave thing, kills them all. Now, she says, that's enough. I want to know. And watch what she does. This is really good. Verse 15. She says, how can you say I love you? I can't even do the girl voice for very long. When you won't confide in me. How can you do this to me? Now, girls, in case you're sitting there going, I need some conviction today. You've been giving a lot of men conviction. Give me some conviction. All right, so this one's for you just because you asked for it, okay? I dedicate verse 16 to you. Let's say it. With such nagging,
She prodded him day after day until he was sick, what? To death. He doesn't feel the spirit. He's like, hey, brother, right? It's such nagging. She prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. He's finally like, fine, I would rather die. Right? Look, I didn't write it. I'm just laying it out there. Y'all let it speak to you. And if the shoe fits, you just go. But I want to see this here. Samson was strong enough to kill 1,000 men with the jawbone. We'd never say that in church, but whatever. But he wasn't strong enough to lead his wife. Wasn't strong enough to be. Man, don't you dare be the most successful person on the planet out in the business world and then not take care of your family. Not lead like you're supposed to. Not lead your kids. Not be there. Don't ever do that. God gave us this power, this responsibility to do that kind of stuff first. Everything else is a branch out from that. Don't lead everywhere and then get drug around elsewhere. We can spend a whole day talking about that. We're not going to. Look at verse 17. So he told her everything. I mean, he just spilled it. No razor's ever been used on my head, because I have been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man. Check that. I love this. It's almost like he's from my mother's womb. It's almost like he's remembering what he was actually called to be. Isn't that always right there with you? I mean, if you're a true follower of God, when you're in the middle of this kind of stuff, it's always back there. It's like, hello, I didn't go anywhere. This is not my plan for you. It's almost like he's kind of remembering where he's from, what he's called to do. It's there. It's a small piece, but it's there. He was told, never tell anybody. See, I very respectfully, I'm going to just say, I think many of us have just forgotten who you're supposed to be. We tend to forget what we were called to be and called to do. And we're just out kind of living life, yucking it up, having a good time. And yet the call is, listen, Jesus isn't a season for your life. I mean, this convicts me more than anything. I did this like last year. That was it last year, the year before? I had that wake-up call. It was like, I didn't ever not tell you to keep doing what you were supposed to be doing. I never gave you permission to just back away from me. This is where you're supposed to be. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And he really laid it back out for me. And he's like, I didn't change. You're the one taking the steps. Get back. Not get back in line, get back, right? Maybe get back on the line. Anyway, so it tells us the secret. What happens? What's next? So she does it. After putting him to sleep on her lap, just come here, baby. Now I know you love me. She called for somebody to shave off his 7 braids of hair, began to subdue him. And what happened? Just read that. His strength left him. Ain't you ever felt God's power leave you? Or think it left you? Ain't you ever finally felt 56,250 steps away? Ain't you ever felt, man, I've given that advice before. Man, you really need to hit rock bottom. I apologize if I've told you need to hit rock bottom. You were built to get turned around way before the bottom. You were given the power to stop way before you took the last step that got you to wherever you have found yourself. He didn't mess up his life all at once. Taunted the enemy, rationalized sin. Last thing. We're still good. He assumed his disobedience would never cost him. He just assumed. that everything would still be okay. Just like many of us, men and girls, I've gotten away with it this many times, I can come back. I've done it, I can handle it. It's okay. Literally, I've been here before. I know how to get myself out of this. I can fix it. Delilah calls out, Samson, Philistines are upon you. Notice the power's gone. Check it out. The power's gone. And then she yells, Samson, Philistines are upon you. Philistines are upon you. Come on. He woke up. Now guess what? He's thinking, I'll just go out and shake myself free. I still got it. But no, he didn't know that the Lord had left him. Now he should have known. He was told, cut it, you lose it. Right? You get out in that enemy territory, you're not going to feel me. Not because of me. That's not because of God. That's just because of where you are now. That's just because of what you've decided to step into. Don't be blaming God. Don't be, oh, God left me here. God let me down. Nope. That's all you, big dog. You took the steps. Now, the consequences are God would say, you're not going to feel me so much when you're in enemy territory. You're not going to feel me as much. It's going to feel like I left you. I didn't, but it's going to feel like it. When you find yourself over there, let it dawn on you. Ignorant. He told you. He didn't know that the Lord had left him. And what happens? Because, well, I've done it 3 times before. I can do it again. No. But he didn't know it had changed. He didn't know. Didn't know. See, one of these times, guys, your boss, when you go, come on, I know, can't we do this? He's going to go, that's enough. I had enough of you. One of these times, the girl you keep coming home to because you've treated her like a doormat so many times that you think she's used to it, she is going to knock your lights out. And she's going to say it's enough. If you ever come to me as a woman and you tell me that somebody treats you like that, that is my first advice to you. Knock his butt out and then kick his butt out. Don't give him so many steps. But for those of you who've got one that you walk all over, they're finally going to go, yeah, it's enough. I've had it up to here. I see her do it with the kids all the time when she wants to kill their little sucker. I just don't want her to do it to me. I don't want to see that. I don't feel that. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is, it's finally going to hit to the point where it's like, zip, it's enough. Step 56,250 is going to happen. You're going to find yourself there. That's a promise. That's a promise. Here's what happened. Verse 21, because here's the tragedy. Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, took him down to Gaza. Binding him with bronze shackles, they set him to grinding in the prison. That's now Samson, most powerful man on the planet. The most God-given potential any human's ever seen now finds himself in a prison grinding away at rock. Can't believe they got me down here. I could have stopped it. You ever said, I cannot believe this is where I am? What do you mean you can't believe it? You had 56,250 steps to remember you're going to get there. You literally set your sights on this place. You literally knew destruction was waiting for you, but you kept taking the steps. That was for us. You know what's out there, and yet you still let your mind and your emotions and your want-tos drive you. And I wake up and I want to do what I want to do that day. And yet I know what that leads to. Distance between me and God. At least perceived distance.
So let me just ask you, where are you stepping away? What part of your life, and like I said, I don't care if it's step 1, step 42,000, step 56,249, wherever it is, where is it that you're stepping away? You see, it can be just as simple for some of you that you're a Christian and yet you're not spending any time in God's Word. Oh, here we go. Now he's going to tell me what I got to do. Now, just the easy ones. You look back right now at all the steps you took this week without reading your Bible. Not even opening it up. Good Lord, we provide you, as your church, provide you with a wake-up message every morning if you want it of a Bible verse. You could literally get a dose of Bible before you leave the bed. Oh, I know. It's not nearly as interesting as what Trump said, but hey. I got to get something tweeter material out, whatever. But we'll give you, and God provide. It's like everywhere. And yet you and I, nah. You wake up late, Facebook calls, whatever it is, and you don't. Don't think that's not a step. That's not being legalistic. That's a step. Some of you will go your whole day and pray at the end of the night, and forgive me of all my sins. And that's it. And in the morning you wake up, oh God, protect me this day. But nothing throughout the day. And Paul says, don't you ever stop praying. You see, every moment you stop praying is a step. Every moment you make a decision on your own without asking God, step. Every moment you do something without finding out if the Holy Spirit wants you to, step. Step after step after step. One step at a time. You're not going to set out. It's not like you're going to wake up and go, I'm tired of this Bible stuff. I don't ever want to read it again. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to have one. You know what? This prayer thing, it's crazy. Just not going to do it ever again. No, you just sort of stop a little bit. You know a really good time to pray? When you're doing something you're not supposed to. Then it'll teach you to do it when you're not doing something you're not supposed to. Most of us don't do that. Do you think Samson was laying there with the prostitute just talking to God? Thank you for my day, God, and for the many blessings you give me. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He'd already taken his steps. Just check it out. It's greed of the world. Maybe you're just out there looking at stuff, and I got to have it. Listen, we're only as strong as we are honest. What are you stepping away from God on? Now, so let me just summarize this whole thing. We'll get out of here, I promise. Go ahead if you got to put stuff up, whatever. What should you do when you find yourself taking steps? So I'm headed to Gaza, one step at a time. What should I do? Turn around. Oh, don't stop. Don't stop. See, if I stop, I'm still facing Gaza. And if I'm being emotionally driven, where's God? And when I turn around, where's God? Facing me like this. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff, right? Now, I shouldn't be running my life going, catch up, God, in case I need you. That should not be how I live, okay? But He is, but He's there, right? God's not standing here watching you go to Gaza. Back! Nope, He's like this, okay? That's God. Turn around. No matter what step you're on. Do the opposite thing. That's why I say I don't like stop, because if I stop, I'm like, okay, just a few steps. You gotta do the opposite.
That's why I am going to continually preach what you want to do and what the Spirit wants to do are never, ever the same. Ever. You're not going to get allowed to do what you want to do. Quit thinking that's actual theology because it's not anywhere. Prove it. Jesus is never going to look at you and go, if you want to, it'll be fine. No, I don't really need to tell you what to do today. I'm going to take a break. But I want to let you do what you want to do today. No! That's a step. You do what He wants you to do every single moment. Man, that sucks. I'm not going to lie. That sucks. Because I got a lot of stuff that I want to do. Like everything. And yet He's got a lot of stuff He wants me to do. Like everything. And they never line up. That's crazy. And that's why I say it sucks. But here we go. Verse 22. This is really cool. I love this. Because that's why I put it there. But what happened? So here he is, eyes gouged out, shackled to these, and grinding. And you love grace. There it is. You love grace. That's God's grace. We screw it up. God puts it back together. But I cannot reiterate so many times. Do not use that as an excuse to keep doing what you're doing. Just because God's going to put it back together. Just because you've got salvation. Stop. Turn around. Do what He would have you to do, not what you want to do. And if you didn't sign up for that, tough. Can you live like Sam? Can you just do what you want to do and let God pick up the pieces? Sure. Absolutely. But quit whining. And it's torturous. Good thinking. But quit whining. Quit looking around going, I just don't know why life is so bad. I just don't know why I can't catch a break. Well, because you're not following the guy. And I have horrible bedside manner. I know that. Because my one-on-one counseling sounds just like that one. What's the problem here? You are. God didn't create junk. No, but you're an idiot. But so am I. Don't take solace in that, but you got to understand you're the problem. You're the culmination of all your bad decisions. Where you are in life right now. When you have a problem, you're there because God's got you there and you're supposed to learn something, or you made some dumb decisions and you got there and God's willing to get you out of it. But you did it. By some simple yet wrong directional steps away from the guy who's planned out your entire life. Next week we're going to see how just because a man's down doesn't mean he's out. Because God likes to take weak men and make them strong. Stand with me and let's go. So many of you, a few of you, I shouldn't say many. We say many because that's a good preacher word. A few of you have communicated back to me that last week, don't go, that you went out and you went and made some amends. You went and made some changes, or you went and apologized for when you had let your emotions drive you, and you made some healthy steps. That's good. Okay, today, I told you they're getting progressively worse and harder. Today, I've asked where you're taking the steps. Now, these are your own life. Nobody probably knows about these steps. Okay? These are secrets. These are things that nobody but you know about, probably, most likely. These steps you're taking. What are they? And are you willing to turn around? Sometimes turn around means vocally tell somebody what you're doing and fix it. Other times it just means turn around. It could be your thought process. I mean, some behaviors are going to follow it. I get that. Sometimes you just need to change your mind about it. We kind of teased about technology, but guys, let me speak. If you're having trouble with pornography, let's just say, and those are your steps, and it's getting you away from your family, and you're packing around a phone that you can get it 24/7, you might need to call Cricket and get yourself one of them phones that don't let you do that. And then when people ask, go ahead and tell them, well, I couldn't control myself on my other one, so I got one that does it for me. And condition yourself. If you're doing some things that you think are private, give access to other people. If you're married and you have a password in anything that your spouse doesn't know about, that's a step. At least give it to her. At least give it to him. Just start analyzing your life and ask, where am I making these steps? Turn around. Get honest this week with yourself about where you're taking these steps away from God, because these little steps are going to ruin your life. They are. But you can change it by the grace of God. I'm going to pray for you. We'll sing and we're going to get out of here. God, thank you for following me with your arms wide open. Thank you for teaching me how to turn around. God, I promise to set my life on your path the moment I see I'm not. God, I'm committing to do it. I know you're already faithful. Send me out. Tell me what to do. Lead me where to go. In your name we pray. Amen.
You are holy.
You are mighty.
You are mighty.
You are worthy.
You are worthy.
Worthy of praise.
Worthy of praise.
And I will follow.
I will follow.
I will listen.
I will listen.
I will love you.
I will love you.
All of my days.
All of my days. You are Lord of lords. You are King of kings. You are mighty God, Lord of everything. You're Emmanuel. You're the great I am. You're the Prince of Peace. Who is the Lamb? You're the living God. You're my saving grace. You will reign forever. You are Ancient of Days. You are Alpha, Omega, beginning and end. You're my Savior, Messiah, Redeemer and friend. You're my Prince of Peace.
And I will
Live my life for you.
You are holy.
You are holy.
You are mighty.
Come on, ladies. You are mighty.
You are worthy.
You are worthy.